You have been crying in rooms where no one came. Not out loud, not in ways anyone noticed. Silently. In the shower, in the car before you walked through the door, in the middle of the night when the weight became too heavy and you pressed your face into the pillow so no one would hear what you were carrying alone. You have prayed prayers that felt like they dissolved in the air before they even left your lips. You have whispered his name in moments so dark that you weren't sure anyone was listening. You have asked for signs and woke up the next morning to silence. You have been faithful in your pain, obedient in your exhaustion, showing up when everything in you wanted to disappear. And somewhere along the way, you started to wonder if you had been forgotten. You started to wonder if your prayers were too small, too broken, too repetitive, too late. You started to believe that maybe the silence meant absence, that maybe the waiting meant he had moved on, that maybe you had asked for too much or too little or in the wrong way or at the wrong time. I need you to stop, right here, right now, in this exact moment, because something is happening in your life this week, something that has been set in motion over the past few days, and if you do not understand what is unfolding around you, you will miss it. God has not been silent. God has been building, and in the next few days, you are going to begin to see the architecture of what He has been constructing in the dark. This video did not appear on your screen by accident. You were not scrolling mindlessly and stumbled upon this. Something greater than the algorithm placed this before your eyes today. This moment, your eyes on these words, your heart in its current state was arranged. This was appointed. And the message is this: not one prayer has been lost. Not one. If you feel this message was meant for you, type the word heard in the comments right now. And if you haven't yet, subscribe so you never miss a message that was made for you. Part 1. The truth about your silence. There is a kind of prayer that no one teaches you about. It is not the prayer you say in a church with your hands folded and your voice steady. It is not the prayer you write in a journal with the right words in the right order. It is the prayer that comes out of you when you have nothing left, when the language breaks down and all that remains is the ache itself, when you cannot find the words, so you just sit there, breathing, aching, hoping that something greater than you can translate what your heart is too tired to say. That prayer counts. That prayer above all others counts. Do you understand what I'm telling you? The moments you believed were your weakest moments of faith, the moments you were too broken to form a sentence, too exhausted to believe anything was listening, those were not moments of spiritual failure. Those were moments of the deepest communion, because in those moments you were not performing, you were not reciting, you were simply real. And the real you, the unguarded you, the undone you, that is the version of you that heaven moves for. You have spent so much time apologizing for your prayers, thinking they weren't eloquent enough, faithful enough. You have compared your prayer life to people who seem to have it all together spiritually, and you have felt like your whispers in the dark were somehow less valid, less heard, less worthy of a response. But here is what you have not been told. God is not a distant figure waiting for the perfect petition. He is close, closer than your breath, closer than the thought you are having right now as you read this. He is not sitting on some throne reviewing prayer applications and stamping some approved and some denied. He is present, in the room with you, in the car with you, in the shower with you, in every silent midnight moment you have ever had. He was there when you cried and thought no one saw. He was there when you smiled the next day and pretended you were fine. He was there when you prayed and then doubted your own prayer. He was there watching you be faithful when it cost you everything, when no one applauded, when nothing changed on the outside and you kept going anyway. He was not watching from a distance. He was with you every single time. And this week, this specific season you are in right now is not a coincidence. The fact that this message reached you in these particular days means the conversation between you and heaven is about to shift in a way you can feel. Part 2.
what the silence was hiding. You misread the silence. I know that is hard to hear, but this is the truth you need in order to move forward. The silence you experienced, the months, maybe the years of what felt like unanswered prayer was not abandonment. It was not punishment. It was not evidence that you were doing something wrong or that you were unworthy or that your faith was too small. The silence was preparation. Think about what happens beneath the earth before anything grows. There is no visible movement. There is no sign on the surface that anything is happening. The seed looks exactly the same as it did the day it was planted. But beneath the soil, in the darkness, in the silence, everything is happening. The root system is building. The cellular architecture of what will become a tree is forming. And when it finally breaks through the surface, it does not break through fragile. It breaks through with the full strength of everything that was built in secret. You have been that seed. And you have been looking at the surface of your life, wondering why nothing is growing, not realizing that everything has been growing beneath, in the parts of you that no one can see, in your character, in your discernment, in your capacity for the life that is coming. Because the life that is coming is not something you could have handled when you first prayed for it. The version of you that first asked was not yet equipped for the answer, and God, who sees not just where you are but where you are going, was not withholding. He was preparing. The waiting was not rejection. The waiting was curriculum. Every day of silence was a day of formation. Every prayer that seemed to dissolve into the air was actually absorbed by a God who does not waste a single word, a single tear, a single broken syllable of genuine longing. But here is what I need you to understand as you move through these next days, these specific days, this specific week. You are going to be tested on whether you believe this or not. The test will not come as a dramatic moment. It will come as an ordinary moment that asks you whether you trust or whether you shrink. It will come as an opportunity that your fear will try to dismiss and your faith will recognize. It will come as a door if it looks too good to be real, and the question will be whether you walk through it or stand outside waiting for permission from a God who has already said yes. He has already said yes to you before you finished the prayer. He said yes to you before you began. The answer was not withheld. The timing was appointed, and the appointment is near. Can you feel it? That shift in your chest right now? That is not imagination. That is recognition. Something in you that is older than your doubts is recognizing the truth. You were never alone in that silence. You were never forgotten in that waiting. And everything that was carried in secret is about to be brought into the open.
Part 4. Who you are now. You are not who you were when this season began. I need you to hear that. Not as a comfort, as a fact. You are not the same person who first knelt down and asked for what you asked for. You are not the same person who first cried that specific cry. The version of you that entered this waiting was softer in the places that needed to become strong and more rigid in the places that needed to become flexible. You did not know that then, but you have been shaped, pressed, refined. And what the fire does to gold is not destroy it. It removes what does not belong. What was removed from you in this season was removed with precision. The pride that would have corrupted the blessing, the impatience that would have broken the relationship, the insecurity that would have rejected the opportunity. These were not failures. These were extractions, surgical, necessary, performed not by punishment, but by love. And what remains, what is left after all of that, is you, the real you. The you that was always there beneath the layers of performance and pretending and protecting. The you that God saw before you had a single accomplishment to your name. That is who He made. That is who He has been calling forward through every moment of this season. That person is ready. You are ready. Not perfect, not finished, not without wounds, because the wounds are part of the testimony, and the testimony is part of the purpose. But ready for what is next. ready for the doors that are beginning to open, ready for the relationships that are being realigned, ready for the provision that is being released, ready for the assignment that has been waiting for the version of you that only this season could produce. In these coming days, stay open, stay expectant, not in a desperate way, not in a way that grasps and clutches, but in the way of someone who knows a promise has been made by a God who has never broken one. Walk into these next days with your eyes open, not looking for miracles in the dramatic sense, looking for movement, for doors, for conversations that feel divinely arranged, for a peace that settles over a decision you have been afraid to make. Because this is what answered prayer often looks like. Not thunder, not lightning, not a voice from the sky, but a quiet knowing that the path is clear, a door that opens when you push it, a person who appears at the exact right moment, a peace that passes understanding, settling into the exact space where fear used to live. That is coming for you. It is already in motion. You were never forgotten. Not for a single day, not for a single night, not in a single moment where you sat in the dark and wondered if any of this was real. Every tear was caught, every whisper was heard, every prayer, formed and unformed, spoken and silent, faithful and fearful, was received. And now you are at the edge of something new. Not because you earned it by suffering enough, not because the waiting was your punishment finally completed, but because seasons turn, because seeds do eventually break through the soil, because the God who began something in you is faithful to complete it, not in your timing, not always in your way, but completely, fully, in a way that will make every day of the waiting make sense. Go into these next days differently. Go as someone who is heard. Go as someone who is seen. Go as someone's prayers have not fallen into a void, but into the hands of a God who holds every word and knows exactly when to move. The silence is ending. The answer is coming. And you were always, always, always worth it. If this message reached your heart, subscribe because the next message might be the one that changes everything. You are not forgotten. You never were.